So here's the player and king. Now if I'm not mistaken, this player is actually Masayan, who is a very high ranking player. Now being that this match took place in the 5th week of Season 6, this match happened on the weekend that Light of Genesis and Mario came out, so it's likely that Ant King here is just testing out his new units. So this is a pretty good first look at how he just plays. So after getting rid of Juggler, he actually bans Rosen Seal plus Tiaris. Now this combination actually makes sense. Banning Rosen is just good in general because even if you don't play a debuff box, you're probably going to have a couple characters that like doing debuffs of some kind. And in this case, Tiaris is actually a very good ban because he is a very single target focused box for the most part. And Tiaris is one of the most bothersome healers for people who play single target alongside Wheeler. Akaya, always a very good pick for any sort of rush strategy. The plus 10% on attack or intelligence is actually very, very strong. I've seen it make the difference between one-shotting a tank and not one-shotting, so it can be a very big difference. So in this game, I kind of refrained from banning Light of Genesis and Mario at first because I really wanted to see them in action. But since I got to the final pick and I wanted to pick Almeida, I decided to ban Mario last. Before that, I was drafting a team that I think would reasonably be able to survive Mario, but Almeida's not so good at surviving, so obviously I would ban Mario. That does leave Zerida as an assassin, but she is a little bit easier to avoid in case Ant King decides to pick him, but in this case he picks Jessica, so I get to check out what it's like playing against her. So as far as my soldier choices here go, I brought Royal Calves in front of Landius. I went with the Royal Calves to be able to tank Yusuke better. The fact that Yusuke decided to bring infantry soldiers is just a bonus. And I was also pretty certain that he was going to bring Free Strike on his Light of Genesis. So whatever the case, it wouldn't have made sense to bring Lancer soldiers on Landius here. And I refrained from bringing Lancer soldiers on Layden for pretty much the same reason. By now, Redeemers were fixed, so having a nice balanced tanking option for Layden that also provides a conditional revive is pretty powerful. And of course, Redeemers don't get tagged by the effective damage from Light of Genesis' 3 cost, which can be a pretty big deal. So here Ant King just charges in on the first turn, just goes straight for frontal assault on Landius. Since I don't have Rosen, I do get my Revive disabled, so this is already kind of dangerous. L1 of course has no trouble blowing up all of Landius' soldiers, so I decide to act again on Landius. Part of it is so that he can get his guard up and protect everybody from L1's follow-up, and the other benefit is that it lets me burn a turn on his frontal assault debuff. So here you can see a display of some of that raw power from Akaya's 30% attack buff. Even with Landius' Lancer advantage, L1 nearly kills Landius with Sword Soul here. Akka follows up on Layden with a Dark Sight. And can we just appreciate for a second that this Aga has 2,100 intelligence? Just absolutely disgusting stats on this Aga here. Unfortunately, that also means that when I get a Thorns activation on Layden, Akka is doing so much damage that she blows herself up. She even got the magic defense down from the Spider Demons. And remember that the Spider Demons are probably doing almost no damage to the Redeemers, so almost all that damage was from Akka herself. So here I actually brought Holy War on Almeida and hoped that maybe I could score a kill with Almeida. Unfortunately, this L1 gets a skillful wind wall, and I don't get to get a coveted Almeida kill. I think without that wind wall I could have taken care of L1 on this turn, but unfortunately this means he's left with his revive. So because he clocked his Sword Soul the previous turn, he can now wrap around and attack Layden. So here I wanted to save up Yulia's Discipline if I could, so I just use Heal from Almeida instead. This does allow him to heal up his own L1 as well, but the nice thing is that right now I still have both my tanks, so I'm still relatively safe and I can try to take this slowly. I think one of the craziest things about Light of Genesis is how her range increase also affects her assist skills. So right here you can see that even though I wall off his L1, he's still going to be able to run in with Light of Genesis and teleport L1 away. I mean, he doesn't have a tank to protect him or anything like that, but it does take him out of my attack range. Light of Genesis follows up with her 3-cost skill here, which is a very strong attack, but this is actually one of the few things that Layden can tank better than almost every other tank in the meta right now, because this skill is only not effective against holy units. So Layden's pretty good at tanking this, pretty good being a relative term. So like usual, I'm running like 20 million healers, which is probably pretty annoying to Ant King here since he's having a hard time combining his units to KO one of my tanks. And since I'm running Blood Pact on my tanks, that also gives Yusuke a lot of trouble. Yulia actually manages to take care of L1 here even though he has the damage shield from Light of Genesis. And then Light of Genesis follows up and actually fails to kill Layden here, even though he's only at like 50% life. I mean, obviously he doesn't have an attack buff at this point, so he's missing a lot of power, but that's still a little surprising. This was a 4-star Tensei Jessica, so that probably affects it quite a bit. But yeah, just an interesting first look at Tensei Jessica. That teleport utility is just really scary, and well, by now I'm pretty sure most of you know how big of a menace T-Jess is in Apex, so you're definitely going to be seeing more of her.